I surprised my wife with a debt-free house in her name. She gasped, then said, "Finally, now I can leave you without guilt." Her friends toasted her bravery. I didn't say a word, just packed a small bag. 2 years later, she's still emailing me from that same house. "Please answer. I'm sorry. I burned the deed the day after she opened a bottle to celebrate my absence." Right there, in the fireplace she always complained was too rustic for her Pinterest mood boards. No ceremony, no dramatic music, just me, alone, in that massive open-concept living room she picked out, feeding a legally binding document into the fireplace, one page at a time. Why? Because I'd already transferred ownership to her. Free and clear, fully paid, no strings, no prenup clauses, just a note tucked under the last page. "Happy anniversary. You win." Let me rewind. 2 years ago, I pulled off the biggest surprise of my life. We'd been married 5 years, together since college, and I wanted to show her I'd finally caught up to her dreams. She came from old money that dried up fast. I was blue-collar turned tech, clawing every inch of stability. She liked to say we were a power couple. But let's be honest, she meant herself. Still, I loved her. Enough to work 90-hour weeks. Enough to cash out early stock options before they matured just to qualify for the financing. Enough to sell my '67 Camaro, the last thing I had of my dad's. The plan? Present her with the keys and the deed on our anniversary. A surprise tour of our forever home. Her name on everything. My name nowhere. A clean slate in her image. The house was perfect. Custom built. Vaulted ceilings. Chef's kitchen. Master bath bigger than my old studio apartment. Every detail picked from the vision boards she used to sketch during our ramen years. She gasped when I handed her the envelope. Then she laughed. No, not laughed. Snorted. Like something was funny in a cruel way. "Finally," she said, eyes glittering. "Now I can leave you without guilt." Just like that. No tears. No drama. Just the surgical precision of a woman who'd already mapped this out. I thought she was joking. I waited for the gotcha. But then her friends poured out from the side room, champagne in hand. One of them actually said, "To freedom!" And she toasted them. In my house, she toasted them to her freedom. While I stood there like a discarded extra in her new life. I didn't speak. Not once. Not to her. Not to them. I walked upstairs, grabbed a bag I kept for business trips, threw in enough for a week. No hesitation. No begging. I left my phone on the kitchen island, next to the still-wrapped gift she'd gotten me. A personalized leather wallet with the wrong initials. She never learned my middle name. I stayed at a roadside motel for a few nights, ate stale vending machine pretzels and stared at the ceiling, waiting to feel something. Rage, despair, betrayal. But all I felt was weightless. I built a life around her validation. My success was always measured against her silence. My worth tied to her approval, which always came half-hearted and late. Turns out, losing her was the most peaceful thing that ever happened to me. But peace is a tricky thing. It doesn't come clean. 3 days later, I got an email from her. Subject line, "You okay, body? I didn't expect you to leave so fast. I thought you'd fight. That you'd, I don't know, say something." I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, another. Subject, "Need to talk, body. They're saying I was cruel, that I ambushed you, but you knew we weren't working, right? You saw it too." Still no reply. Then came the drip of desperation. Subject, "Can we meet?" Then, "I miss you." Then, "The house is too quiet." I changed emails. She found my work address. Then my brother's. Then my old professor's. Each message more frantic. Each one a little less coherent. Until she was rambling about making a mistake, and being pressured by friends, and just wanting you to come home and talk like adults. But there was no home. She made sure of that. She'd posted photos on Instagram the night I left. Her holding the deed. Caption, "Built my life back. One decision at a time." Flexed biceps, medium skin tone, hashtag, new chapter, hashtag, independent AF. The comments were wild. "Slay queen. So proud of you for choosing you. You don't owe anyone stability. You owe yourself joy." No one asked what happened to the guy who gave her that house. No one noticed me leaving through the garage while she popped another bottle in the kitchen. For a year I went dark. Moved out of state. Took a consulting gig with a firm that didn't care about personal drama. Got a new phone number. Rented a tiny place with bad plumbing and 0 square footage. But the silence was perfect. Then one night, I broke my own rule and checked the shared cloud account we forgot to disconnect. She'd left her photo backups on. I scrolled. At first, it was parties, girls' nights, wine glasses and fake lashes, captions about growth and strength and healing. But over time, the smiles faded. Selfies turned to quotes, then blurry photos of food, then long black screen posts with cryptic captions. Finally, nothing. She'd stopped uploading. 2 years in, I moved back. Quietly. No contact. Just curiosity. I walked by the house once. From the outside, it looked the same. But the garden was dead. The lights flickered like she'd stopped caring. And the mailbox was full, papers spilling out like someone had forgotten to check. That night, I got the email. Please answer. I'm sorry. No subject. All caps. 3 words. And then another. I still sleep on your side of the bed. Then another. I told them it was a joke. That I panicked. That I didn't mean it. Then a photo. The deed. Framed. Still hanging above the mantel. With a post-it stuck to the glass. Come back. That's when I knew I'd won. Not by getting revenge. Not by rising above. But by disappearing so completely, she had to fill in the blanks with guilt. That house? It was never the prize. It was the cage she built herself. Brick by brick. Lie by lie. And now, she's still living in it. Alone. And I haven't said a word. Update 1. I knew she'd break eventually. What I didn't expect was how she'd break. Started small. A message from her cousin. I barely knew the guy. Saying she was really struggling, and maybe I should be the bigger person. I ignored it. Then her old boss emailed me, saying she'd taken a leave of absence. Health reasons. Then one night, 3 months after that first please answer email, I got a call from a blocked number. I let it ring out. Then it rang again. And again. Then came the voicemail. Her voice, raw, like she'd been screaming or crying or both. I know I don't deserve anything. I know I ruined everything. But I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know who I am anymore. Please, just tell me what to do. She'd never begged before. Not even when her dad cut her off for marrying below her station. She'd smiled. Said she'd marry for power or passion. Never for permission. And now, she sounded like a child asking for permission just to exist. I didn't respond. But I started watching. Checked public records. She hadn't transferred the house. Still in her name. Untouched. But she hadn't been paying taxes. The mortgage was cleared, sure. But the taxes? Racking up. Quietly. Relentlessly. She was bleeding money she didn't have. I checked LinkedIn, her job title was gone. Just open to opportunities. I checked her friends' pages. She wasn't in the pictures anymore. Her bridesmaids? Hosting bachelorette weekends she wasn't invited to. The women who toasted her bravery, when she kicked me out, they'd moved on. She was alone. But here's the thing. I wasn't just watching her unravel. I was testing how far she'd go to claw something back. And then she crossed a line. She showed up at my mother's church. Sunday morning. No warning. My mom hadn't spoken to her since the split. Didn't even know where I was. But there she was. Sitting in the back pew, dressed like grief, waiting for someone to ask if she needed help. My mom called me immediately after. She looked sick, she said. She looked pale and exhausted. She said she just wanted a place to feel close to you. I didn't respond. But the next day I called a realtor. I told them to list the house. Quietly. Pocket sale. My name wasn't on the deed. But I'd prepared for that. Remember the burned deed? I had copies. More importantly, I had proof of the gift. Digital signatures. Emails. Video footage. The moment I handed it over and said, "It's yours." And in our state, that's binding. But the real kicker? I'd registered a life estate clause in the transfer. It gave her occupancy but not full disposal rights without my revocation. She could live there. She could cry in the bathtub. But she couldn't sell without my consent. And now, I was revoking it. The paperwork is filed. She doesn't know yet. But in 30 days, she'll receive the letter. Not from me. From a firm she's never heard of. One of the many shell entities I set up when I realized she never truly saw me. She saw a stepping stone. Now, she'll feel what it's like to step off a cliff. And the worst part? She still thinks there's a way back. That if she says the right thing, if she cries hard enough, breaks loud enough, I'll come home. But home was never that house. Home was the life I tried to build with her. And she burned it barefoot while laughing. Update 2. 30 days came and went. The letter landed at 10:17 a.m. Certified delivery. Signature required. I know this because I paid extra for courier tracking and sat in my parked car half a block away with my coffee, watching the whole thing unfold. She opened the door in a robe I didn't recognize. Some limp pink thing with one sleeve ripped, and signed without looking. Eyes hollow. Hair like she'd fought with a window fan. When the door shut, I swear the air got colder. She read the letter 3 times. Once fast. Once slow. Once with both hands shaking like the paper might explode. And then she screamed. Not cried. Not collapsed. She screamed. Loud. Wild. An animal kind of sound. Like someone finding out gravity doesn't apply to them anymore. Then came the calls. 57 in 2 hours. Blocked numbers. Unknown numbers. One from a burner app labeled please. I didn't pick up. She emailed next. Subject, what is this? Then, you said it was mine. Then, you can't do this. You can't just take it. Then, I'll go to court. I swear I'll fight. She doesn't know I anticipated that too. She doesn't know I already met with the exact divorce lawyer her best friend used 3 years ago and paid her retainer under a different name just to conflict her out. She doesn't know I sat down with the zoning board and filed the necessary paperwork to begin the process of reclassification, turning the house from a residential haven into a rental asset. Because legally, that's what it is now. A property. An investment. A structure occupied by someone who is now considered a squatter. She called my old boss next. I know because he texted me. Your ex is intense. Everything okay? I sent back a thumbs up emoji and turned my phone off again. Then came the last card. The nuclear card. She emailed my mother. Not to scream. Not to beg. To lie. I think he's unwell. I think he might be a danger to himself. Please. Someone should check on him. I laughed when I read it. But my mom? She didn't laugh. She called me sobbing. She said you're not sleeping. That you're erratic. That you're talking to yourself. She said you set a fire, Daniel. That's when I realized how far gone she really was. She was trying to build a narrative. One where I was the unstable one. One where she'd somehow convinced the world that this was a cruelty inflicted on her by a man unraveling. So I gave her a gift. I called her back. First time in over 2 years. She answered on the first ring. Daniel? Silence. Then, is this really? You made me watch you toast to my exit, I said, voice flat. You threw a party to celebrate my erasure. You weaponized kindness and made it feel like a punchline. You think you can cry your way out now? She sobbed. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I wanted freedom. I didn't know freedom would feel like a coffin. I gave you everything, I said. And you turned it into a stage. You lit me on fire for applause. Daniel, please? Now you live in the ashes. Alone. Exactly how you toasted it. Click. She tried to call back 17 times. Left 8 voicemails. Each one shorter. Less coherent. By the last one, it was just her breathing. 2 weeks later, the eviction notice was served. 30 days to vacate. She tried to post online, Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook about how she was being financially manipulated by an abusive ex who was taking back a gift out of spite. But the tide had turned. People remembered the original party photos. The deed pic. The champagne caption. Someone screen capped her Instagram post from 2 years ago, I own this house. No man can ever take it from me. Someone else posted, girl, you literally said finally I can leave him without guilt. What did you think would happen? The comments piled up. She deleted her accounts the next morning. I heard through a mutual that she applied to a job as a receptionist at a gym. Didn't get it? Credits ruined. Support circles gone. Her best friend? The one who cheered to freedom. Just got engaged. Didn't invite her. She lives in that house like it's haunted. Doesn't open the blinds. Still parks in the garage like someone might be watching her car. And they are. I have a property management company visiting next month to inspect it for future rentals. They'll take photos. They'll assess damage. They'll document everything. Because that house? It's mine again. And her? She's a cautionary tale. The kind of ghost that haunts her own choices. She had love. She had safety. She had me. Now she has a house full of silence. And a letter she reads every night, hoping the words will change. They won't. Final update soon. You'll want to sit for that one. Update 3. She didn't leave when the eviction date hit. Didn't pack. Didn't move. Didn't even flinch. The property management team showed up to walk through the place, clipboards ready, expecting an empty shell of a house. Instead, they found her in the living room, sitting cross-legged on the hardwood floor, surrounded by post-it notes. Not boxes. Not bags. Just yellow notes stuck to everything. On the couch, this is where he sat on Sundays. On the coffee table, we ate Indian takeout here after our first big fight. Even on the bathroom mirror, he kissed my shoulder right here when he thought I was asleep. The manager took photos. Dozens. Then called me. She's not okay, he said. We can file a sheriff-assisted eviction, but... Daniel, are you sure you want this property back? I told him yes. Not because I needed it. Because I needed her to understand. 2 days later, she showed up at my office. I'd moved buildings since the split. Different part of the city. Unlisted tenant directory. But she found me anyway. Security called ahead. Said there was a woman downstairs crying, refusing to leave unless she saw me. I told them to send her up. She looked worse than the last time I saw her, thinner, like she'd stopped eating for sport. Makeup clinging to her face like a mask that forgot what it was hiding. Shoes untied. Eyes bloodshot. She sat across from me in the conference room. Didn't speak at first. Just stared. Finally she said, I kept thinking if I stayed in the house long enough, you'd come back. I said nothing. She looked down. I told my friends you were selfish. That you abandoned me. But you didn't. You gave me everything. And I made it a stage. Not a stage, I corrected. A grave. She winced. I don't know how to fix this. You don't, I said. She cried. Not the pretty kind. Shaking, gasping, the kind that's just real pain. The kind that smells like endings. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out the deed. The one I gave her. The one I burned my own name off of. I brought this, she said, placing it between us. I thought maybe if I gave it back. I don't want it. Silence. I don't want anything that touched your version of love. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Nodded. I stood up. Meeting over. She didn't follow. Didn't ask for a ride. Just stayed there, staring at the paper like it might reassemble her spine if she looked long enough. Later that week, I got an email from her lawyer. She was voluntarily vacating the property. No legal challenge. No claims. No mess. Just a single-line addendum at the bottom of the letter. She requests that you never contact her again. Perfect. 3 weeks later, I visited the house. Alone. No furniture. No echoes. Just the bare bones of a lie once dressed up like a dream. I walked room to room. Somewhere in the master bedroom, I found a post-it that had fallen under the radiator. It read, I used to think I was the main character. But maybe I was just the villain in his story. I left it there. Seemed fitting. The house sold 3 months later. Cash offer. No inspection. New family moved in by summer. Kids. Laughter. Light. Everything she killed trying to prove she didn't need me. Yeah? She's just a footnote on a property record. And me? I'm building again. Quietly. Slowly. With someone new. Someone who knows that love doesn't need an audience. Someone who never once asked if the deed was in her name. She just asked if the kitchen had enough light to cook together. It does. And for the first time in years, I eat at a table that doesn't echo. The end.